Hello everybody and welcome to a new video on X4, and today I'm going to be talking about what is arguably my most favourite way of mining and trading. I've gone with the basics of mining and trading through the guide. However, I want to talk about now what I'd suggest once you've earned a little bit of money. Obviously, when you start off, you're less likely to have a commander that is going to be high enough level to captain one of your ships and be able to give you something like a advanced auto man or advanced auto trader, something like that. So the likelihood is you're going to be working with local auto trading. It has its pluses and its negatives. Obviously, there's a lot of risk behind it, but generally speaking, it's a good way to get started. You know, I left two of my ships on auto trade, the local auto trade, and I made 22 million within the space of a few hours. I did lose one of the ships, and from that, I've still built up and managed to generate, what we now have on the campaign. Now, this is a snippet of the campaign after the stream we had, the second stream we had on Sunday. And I'm going to talk to you about my preference with mining and trading over everything else, and something that you can invest in long term. And just a quick glance of it, this is an idea of what you're going to look at. But let's look into more detail what I mean. Well, first of all, you want to build yourself a factory. Now, obviously, everything that you have that's not got a purpose is called a factory. But this is the layout you want. So you want to place yourself something like this. You don't need a large or extra large pier if you don't wish. You can just work off the smaller piers. You want to try and get something that's as big as possible. So if you can take more medium ships, then go for it. If you've got the 6 medium, 6 small, or the 3 medium, 6 small, or the 8 medium, then try and go for that if you can. Give yourself an option for some small ships because they're going to be cheaper for you to start off with, and you're going to be able to get a little bit further with it. But basically, this is the kind of setup you want. You don't need large containers at all. You can use the small ones, just build more of them. They are cheaper. They'll get you going. But I'm setting this up for more of a long-term process. So you got yourself some sort of docking and some sort of storage for for all three: container, liquid, and solid. So that's the setup you want. You're going to get it built up. Now, obviously, that's the main part that's going to be the struggle, because it's going to be quite expensive with the bigger the things you've got. So obviously the pier's expensive, these large container storages are expensive, but whatever you've got done, you want to get done this way. From that, you're then going to want to have a manager. So to do that, you want to get yourself your player info, head over to your personnel management, go to your current role and select manager. Then you want to organize it so they're all in order. And you basically want to find the nearest one you have. Now, for me at the moment, it's a 1-star service crew. That's 1 star in management. They may be a 2-star in service crew. So I'm going to right click this and I'm going to go work somewhere else for me. Then I'm going to select the factory and tell it to be a manager. What level the manager is isn't too important, but if you can get 1 star, it's a good start. So now it has a manager. There's a couple of things we can do. So what I want to do is go to logical overview. Don't worry too much about drones. They are an expense that you probably don't want to start off with, but there's no harm in getting them if you want to, so you can pop that on. But it's going to take 91,000 credits to get you your drones, which is going to come out of what you're going to earn through what I'm going to tell you to do. But they are still useful for large and extra large ships. It means that they can be unloaded. And since we have a pier, then it makes things a little bit easier. Then what we want to do is you want to decide where you're going in terms of trading and what sector you're in for mining. What you're sectoring for mining isn't quite as important because you can expand from it. It just makes it a little bit easier. I know from experience that in this sector, if I click on here, I have ore, silicon, nevidium, ice, hydrogen. I also have nearby sectors that contain ore, silicon, methane, and helium. Again, similarly, there's hydrogen in that sector, hydrogen, nevidium, and silicon in that sector. So silicon and ore are two of the best options we've got here, because every sector near enough has some form of that, apart from obviously our completely gas sector here. So if we go back to our... If you want to know how to get this, by the way, if you press on this little information bar here, and make sure you press that information and click on the sector, it gives you all your sector information there. So let's go back into our logical overview. So for mining, I want to concentrate on ore and silicon. I'm nearby to the Vigor Syndicate, so carrying ice is illegal for them. So if we go to their sectors mining ice, they may stop our ships. So I'm going to leave that off for now. I can go to nevidium, however, and add nevidium. I can also go to things like helium, hydrogen, methane. Now, any of these that I want to put in, I could even put in, something like scrap metal if I want, but they're just good enough for what I want for now. We can also add water if we want, because we've got all of the storages available, but keep things down to a bare minimum for now. You always obviously want to put energy cells because you should be producing energy cells as one of your first stations anyway. But now you want to think about what you're going to do next. For me, I'm going to race to get hull parts. Hull parts is going to take things like graphene. You're going to also want tellandinium if you're doing the other side of things for the Tellardi. And also you want refined metals. When I find refined metals, there we go. So refined metals and tellandinium are the odd ones. They could be used on either. Sorry, refined metals is the one you need. You also could do with doing graphene and tellandinium. So we're going to confirm that. We now get all of these options here. One thing you want to do is you want to restrict all of these so that only your ships can sell to this station. Now, the way we do that is if we go to energy cells, we create a buy order and we create a sell order. That means now it will buy and sell anything that's on offer that falls under the automatic pricing. Since we have nothing in our storage, it's going to offer the best price it can to try and get stuff. As it fills up, it's going to lower the price down. It's also going to lower the price down for its sales as well. However, we don't want that. What we want to do is we want to remove this click here that it says use station settings. And we want to go to no restrictions. Now, you will have only no restriction. You won't have on faction unless you've already set this up. So there's not going to be anything in there. To rectify that, if we go to create or edit trade rules, this little pencil button here, we can then create a new trade rule. You'd call it own faction or whatever name you want. And then you could either choose to have it as a default for every station you want. So if you want only your stations to buy your own stuff and nobody else's stuff, then select this, but I'd suggest against it because there are times where you may need to buy stuff that you don't actually produce. Or you can have it where it says it can't have its own supply, or the sale of ships. I keep them three off at the moment because they're choices you can make later down the line per station by doing this. You want to restrict all factions, and you'll see it says additionally allowed factions. You can have it where, say you want to make a really good rapport with a Tellardi. So you're going to say, right, I'm going to buy loads of stuff from the Tellardi. So you can add them as a faction. So that's your own faction plus these factions. You're then going to save the trade rule, and it creates your own faction trade rule, which is here. You then press the back button here twice. You then want to go to no restriction. You'll find that it now says own faction. It comes up with this little cross here saying trade restrictions apply to this where. So at a glance, you can see that there's a trade restriction. Your sell order is as it is, so you don't have to worry too much about it. But you want to basically do that for all of these that you've selected. And there's no right choice on what you decide. You can, just have it where it's just ore and silicon. You don't have to have anything else on it. I have these set up ready to go because I want to sell hull parts. And I want to basically remove it from the station that's producing to give it more room to then be able to produce more hull parts. So the more hull parts I have available, the more money I'm going to make. Because if I have everything in one station, it's bottlenecked, then there is a potential where I can't get access to it if I'm basically buying more ships. Say we want to build a lot of ships and we need a lot of hull parts in a small space of time. That's going to be absolutely fine by doing this because I'm going to have the backlog of resources that are available to us. So you want to have it where everything you have is set to by yourself. And you're not buying from anybody else whatsoever. There we go. The final one, tellandinium. There we go. So it'll sell to everybody, but we'll only buy from you. That's now set and saved. So the next thing you want to do is basically get yourself some form of mining ship. Now, what I'd suggest is if you're starting off, with a restriction with money, you're struggling for cash or something like that, then I'd suggest you get some smaller ships. So you go to a shipyard, go for small, and go for the magpie mineral. Get yourself 6 of these magpie minerals. Don't worry too much about courier ships. You want to start off with the miners. But the same concept applies with trading ships. Now, I've got a solar power plant, so that can be used in this same system. And I'll show that now by this trading station here. So this trading station has been set up originally with the magpies. But you can see I've got 2 setups here. I've got a trader Why are my magpies as traders? They're miners. Well, because they can trade minerals. I have my miners, which I've slowly replaced with larger miners. And then I've lost a couple of my magpies, but these 4 were the original 4 of the 6 that I put in as 3 alpha group, 3 beta group. Alpha groups are traders, beta groups are miners. What this is basically doing is going, you guys are going to mine some resources for me. So you collect all the resources you want. I've gone in here and I've basically said, fill this up as full as you possibly can. You can say incoming ships buying ore. So my magpies are now buying that ore that my miners are gathering. See, they're selling. You can see I've got energy cells as well from my own station as well. So my miners are coming in, dropping off all the resources. So they're keeping going backwards and forwards constantly, filling this up slowly. They're not struggling to having to go to another station to try and sell it, which is what it would do with local auto mining. So it's got that distance to go to whatever station's selling it. It may make a loss. It's dropping it here and it's getting itself back out there. This is just stocking and storing. So that's what you're going to set up. And the way you do that is if I set this up with another miner. So let's go ahead and get a miner. I'll tell you what, we'll get 2 miners so I can show you exactly. I'm going to get 2. Have I got enough credits? Let's see. I just empty this here. I'm going to get myself 2 miners. Buy ships, medium ships. Because I now can afford the mediums, which is where you're going to be based at. Low presets. I just get low presets for now because they're a lot cheaper. If you can go for mediums, they will save you money in the long run because they're about 100,000 credits more expensive. But they hold far more. They hold about 3.5 times more, or 3 1/3 more. So that's two miners that are being built now. So in a minute and 24 seconds, we'll come back and we will. I'll show you exactly what to do with them. So I'll be right back. Okay, so we've got our 2 mineral miners here. So the first one we're going to set up, we're going to go to where our station is. We're going to right click and we're going to go mine for commander and set it to the alpha group. You'll then notice that if we do the same again, you've got trade for commander. And they come up with a little warning. The selected ships include mining ships, which will only be able to trade solid or liquid wares. So we'll set that up. You now see we've got a miner to do the mining for us, and we've got the beta to do, the beta group, which is the other miner, to do trading for us. These ships here on their own. So if I was to go to the ship here and I remove the assignment and I go to it, it gives me local auto mine, which is basically the only sector it's in it will mine for. So if I then go back and go to mine, cancel that, you'll now see that it's selecting 3 words instead of 1 word. It's saying you can mine Nevidium ore or silicon, and you can do it at a 1 jump gate distance. So that means it can mine in here, or in here, because it's 1 jump gate distance away. That's for all of your ships that you assign to. It will do that. Now, it's saying no matching trade found because it's not currently in its sector, so I don't know why it's saying that. We'll cancel that off. Nope, cancel that because it can't actually store it because it's still waiting for it to build the modules. So it can't physically mine anything. The same for the trader, it can't trade anything either. So if it's got this, it'll tell you there's a warning on it. And obviously for me, obviously you can see it's trading Nevidium ore and silicon, so it's looking for sales from Windfall. And it's got a max jump gate to buy and to sell. So it will buy, so it can buy from my other station. So he goes, well, you're looking a bit full. You've got some trade available. Let's buy from you, and I'll put it over here. So then I can sell it over here. So that 1 jump gate distance now becomes technically 2 jump gate distances because I've connected 2 stations together. Obviously, this station is still in production, so it's got nowhere to store anything. So if we go to the build plan, you can see we've got no storage. It's not far off. It's building a container storage now. It needs a solid storage for what we want. But what you do get is this station here. Logical overview. You can see it's buying ore and silicon, and it's then selling them on. I've now got it also doing the energy cells, which is the exact same process, but I've basically used a trader instead of a miner. See, I've got a trader set to my trade, so that's now doing 2 jump gate distances because even though my commander is still a 1-star, my station commander has leveled up and should now be, yes, it's now a 2-star. So now that has increased the gate jump distance for all of my ships. So you'll see my magpies. I can also do 2 jump gate distances, as can all of my miners do 2 jump gate distances. And all that is through the one commander. What it does do is it does stagnate their growth, so their skill won't grow as much. It will go slightly, or at least I've seen it go up slightly, but very rarely. All you need to do to rectify that is just basically rotate crew in and out. So any crew that you've got doing things that you've got unassigned or in fleets and stuff like that, just rotate them around. Find your best commanders, you know, or find your worst commanders and dump them on these ships and take all the best ones off and put them on your fleets. But basically, that there in itself allows you to have multiple ships doing all the same thing from one set point. And you can see that the profit that you get is astronomical. Look at that. So in the space it took to build that ship, we got, look at that, another 20k just dropped in there. And these are just from 4 magpies and 2 mineral ships. And obviously my vultures bringing some energy cells as well. Very little in the way, and the credits just start rolling in. Personally, by far the best way of doing trading and mining. Personally. You will get harassment from, you know, the piracy and the Kark. So with some of that money, try and invest in a couple of combat ships just to protect a couple of your miners, because as you can see, they generally go to a similar location, so they will pick up and try and kill them. They're set to defend, so they won't actually attack them, but as soon as that hits that's going to go in and try and kill it. So that's probably the best way I could say in doing mining and trading. I hope that's helped. If you've got any questions or comments on this kind of setup, then please leave a comment in the comment section below, or better still, join us on our Discord where I can go through a little bit more detail with you if you've got any problems with it whatsoever. But until next time, everybody, take care for now, and I shall see you all in the next one. Bye bye for now.